Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today we're going to be talking about livable wages. Okay, so as you know, millions of workers put in 40 plus hours a week and still cannot afford basic needs. So the fight for livable wages is more urgent than ever, and here's why the system is broken. So let's dive into the video and watch, guys.
This is for Philadelphia. If you're not from Philadelphia, you can stay and be newsy, or you can keep strolling. But as a lot of us know, a strike is about to happen with the trash company, 911 operators, crossing guards, and not 100% sure everything else that's included in the strike. But do not be fooled. If you're a numbers person in this day and age, a livable wage is fair, especially when we're talking about people who pick up our trash. Can you imagine you just went and had crabs 3 days in 1 week and they now have to pick this funky ass trash up? Y'all throwing beds out with bed bugs. Y'all got your kids stinky Pampers. Like, picking up trash is not an easy job. Being a 911 operator is not an easy job. Have y'all met your kids? Have y'all ever tried crossing them across the street on a busy morning? These jobs are not easy. Now, this says the average worker is making maybe $40,000 a year. And what Sherelle Parker, the mayor, is talking about with this 12% increase, if all you need to hear is numbers for it to get through your mind that we need to support them through this, is $91 a paycheck. Before taxes. One more time, is $91 before taxes is taken out of this money. She said, I think it was like $2,383 they will see annually, which means that's how much is going to be put in their salary for the whole year. You break that down, it's 26 payments if you get paid bi-weekly. If you break that down, that's $91 before they ever take taxes out. So when they say they need an increase, please believe them. These jobs are not easy. The average paycheck is around, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong because I don't work for them, so I'm not sure. I just do the numbers. The average paycheck is around $1,500 every 2 weeks. With her, again, this is before taxes. With her bump, they're looking at $1,600 every 2 weeks before taxes is ever taken out. We all know the average apartment is running you $1,600 to $2,000. You can get a little on the good end, maybe for $1,200 if you lock in a 12-month deal or whatever with these apartment complexes. So please bear with them as they do these negotiations. These jobs are not easy. I know for sure I won't want to pick up y'all funky ass trash. So I support y'all, and I hope that y'all get the things that y'all need and the things that y'all are asking for, because a livable wage for everybody is
What
fair.
do you consider a livable wage? No. I'm not talking about survivable wage where, yeah, my bills are paid, everything's good, but I can barely go anywhere. I can't really do much. I'm talking about livable wage where I can live the way I want. In 2025, what is that number? And I know this changes for everybody. People have different outlooks on life, what they want to get out of life. And obviously people have different jobs, and different jobs make different amounts. But put all that to the side for now. What do we consider a livable wage in 2025? And the reason I bring this up is because I hear this a lot these days. Oh, I need a livable wage. Or I need a livable wage. But what is that livable wage? And before you put a number out there, think about it. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a car. I want to be able to live life and go places. So what is that number? Let's take, for example, $30 an hour, which after taxes, after insurance, after 401k match, or whatever you got going on, is usually around $5,000 to $7,000 a month. It can range depending on where you're at. I'm in Florida, so this is where I'm basing it at. Now let's run some expenses by that. Let's say you got an apartment for like $1,600. Okay, a 1-bedroom. Let's say you got a car, a very modest car, a fucking Toyota Camry for $600 a month. Insurance is $200 a month. Lights, water, electricity, food, that's an extra probably $1,000 a month. I've covered only the basics and we're almost half our income. So with everything being considered, what can we all agree on is a livable wage?
I was reviewing the Department of Labor website and I started to see a very clear pattern about wages and minimum wages in our country. It's really clear to see that Republican states have no protection, or the minimum wage is set at the same level as the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25 an hour. I don't even know if I've ever made that, but I cannot imagine anyone working for that pay and making a living standard and having a standard of living that's acceptable, to anybody. Places like Kansas and Indiana, even Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama, all of these states have a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, and you may be in that state, you may not be making that wage, but that low floor puts such a downward pressure on wages that it prevents a lot of people from reaching higher growth, because there's no minimum, there's no floor. So keep that in mind when you're voting, because to me, your wage, your hourly pay is the most important thing in your job, in your life. It's what you are going to take home, and it's what you can, put towards your standard of living. So, really connect. If you've been in a long-standing Republican state, connect that kind of what's hitting you in your pocketbook, in your wallet, with who is in power.
And the waitress is practicing politics as the businessmen slowly get stuck.
Bitch, why did I just look up the average American salary on Google and this shit said $61,984 a year for one person? I'm like, God damn, I'm in fucking poverty.
Teachers, I want to know about pay raises. So my district announced that we will be getting a pay raise for the new school year. So if you've been teaching 5 years or longer, you will receive a $5,000 pay raise. Everybody in the district is going to receive some type of pay raise. That was just the one that pertained to me, as I've been teaching. I'm going into my 10th year of teaching. Now, is it enough? Absolutely not. Will it be taxed? Absolutely. But I'm going to be grateful for the increase, because hopefully this means that we're going in the right direction. And of course, I do get a couple of stipends on top of that, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, let me know. And I'm going to attach the notification that our district sent out so you can see what pay raise each group is going to receive. Yeah, so let me know. Are y'all getting pay raises?
For decades, minimum wage was a livable wage. We're just trying to get back to that. In 1980, the minimum wage was $3.10. You would make about $530 a month, but the average one bedroom was around $243. So if you split that with a roommate, it would only take 23% of your income to live in that apartment. Less than 1 week's of work could actually pay for your apartment. Now you move to the year 2000, minimum wage went up to $5.15, which is about $900 a month. The average one bedroom went up to $600. So if you split that with a roommate, it's about $300, which is about 30%. So it went up a little bit, but still kind of doable. In 2025, the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, which is only $1,250 a month. The average one bedroom in this country is $1,600. So if you were to split that with a roommate, it would take 64% of your income. So two minimum wage workers today can't even qualify for the average one bedroom. And even if we were to find one for $1,200 in an area, the cheapest one you could possibly find, it's still 50% of their income. So if somebody is starting off or restarting their life at minimum wage and putting in 40 hours a week, contributing to the country, contributing to Social Security, contributing to their community, working 40 hours, they should be able to comfortably work on getting ahead and not have to spend 50, 60% of their income on housing. So maybe we can try and tie this to the city's average apartment, but minimum wage 100% has to go up, and wages across the board need to go up.
Australia's national minimum wage will be rising by 3.5% from July the 1st to $24.95 per hour. That's $948 per week and more than $49,000 per year. The increase is above annual inflation, like it was last year, but some argue wages are just playing catch-up after inflation spiked during the pandemic and real wages fell. The Wage Price Index, which generally measures changes in the price of labour across the economy, rose only modestly in comparison. While this decision impacts nearly 3 million low-paid workers, it's also important because it can influence what other business owners pay their employees as they too navigate the impact inflation has had on their input costs.
Announcing Canada Warehouse's workers' jobs 2025 big good news. 2 years contract, visa and immigration free, no experience. Salary fixed, 7,500 Canadian dollars per month. Duty 11 hours online, apply for the job. You can see websites showing on the screen, golfupdate4.com. Go to the Google search bar, write this website, open it, click the first one, post, and apply online for your jobs.
Thank you for your likes, guys, and Let's continue watching the videos. I do appreciate
Back
this.
pay, NALC city carriers, CCAs, PTF, regular career employees. August to 2025 this year. Max out 84,000 to 1.5 November 2025. NALC only.
So I love this. I got a request for social work contracts. And yes, we actually do staff. Everybody that would work in a hospital, we can, generally speaking, staff them. So for all of my social workers out there, I do have contracts available, quite a few. Most of my pressing needs are going to be in Washington State. And so here are a couple of the highest paying, and I'm going to go through some of the details for them as well. So we have Yakima, Washington, which is going to be 40 hours a week. You're looking at about $2,700 gross per week. For Yakima, you need your MSW, your LICSW, and you need to be able to work with all demographics. This is not just behavioral health for Yakima. It's going to be across the board on that. And then we've got Tacoma, Washington. You're looking at about $2,500 gross, also 40 hours per week. Similar licensing needed. And obviously you need your state license. We are looking at Kealakekua, Hawaii. I will never say that right, but I will keep trying. And you need the Hawaii licensing, similar licensing to Washington. You are looking at $2,300 gross per week on 40 hours. Soldotna, Alaska, $23-ish $100 on 40 hours per week also. These are all days, by the way. Hawaii is day-evening split. And Roseburg, Oregon, $2,000 gross per week, 40 hours. Roseburg, Oregon is behavioral health, or at least mostly behavioral health. You'll be working patient-facing, and you'll have about 12 cases per day that you'll see. And then we have Winnemucca, Nevada, which will be about $1,950 gross per week, 40 hours. Albany, Oregon, about $1,800 gross per week on 24 hours. This is just a part-time contract. So if you're interested in that one, let me know. That one is days. Avondale, Arizona, 36 hours per week. You're looking at about $1,750 gross per week on that. Anchorage, Alaska, you are looking at about $1,700 gross per week on 40 hours for them. Fort Walton, Florida, they are looking for an ASAP start on this one. So if you are a social worker and you want to come to Florida, this is a great one. It's paying about $1,700 gross per week on 40 hours. Asheville, North Carolina, $1,700 gross per week on 36 hours. Medford, Oregon, and let's see. Yeah, Medford, Oregon is going to be about $1,700 gross per week on 40 hours. Fort Pierce, Florida, ASAP start for this one as well. $1,700 gross per week, 36 hours. I've got Washington, D.C. and Fort Wayne, Indiana, although Fort Wayne, I believe, is a direct hire. So if you're interested in that one, let me know. Washington, D.C. and Kodiak, Alaska are both going to be about $1,650 gross per week on 40 hours. So that's what I've got for social work. If you want any answers to like what other licensing and what hoops we kind of need to jump through to get you credentialed, let me know. Please send me a message, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
How is a man that makes $174,000 a year paying $20,000 a month in rent and still saying he represents regular people? So Florida Congressman Corey Mills, he's facing eviction. Why? Because he hasn't paid on his $20,000 a month luxury penthouse apartment. He owes about $80,000 now to the landlord, but let's talk about what this really means. $20K a month in rent is $240,000 a year. His congressional salary? $174,000. So explain to me how that math works, because it don't. The math ain't mathin'. And the people in his district, like right back home in Florida, make about $78,000 a year. Now that is the median household income for Floridians in his district. So that congressman's rent is 3 times what his constituents earn in a month. And he got the nerve to be behind on it. People in Seminole County are working not 1, but 2 jobs to make ends meet. Stretching gas and grocery. Choosing between prescriptions and light bills. And he's out here in a penthouse with Capitol Hill views and elevators. He don't live like you. He don't even budget like you. He don't even pay his bills like you. So who does he work for when he gets to DC? Because he sure don't work for y'all. Florida, wake up. You struggling. He's styling. That's not representation. That's exploitation.
So Trump proposes that we raise minimum wage up to $18 an hour. Now, I feel like this could be a good thing, but it also could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing because this might be the one thing that motivates y'all to get up and get a job. So that's good. You know what I'm saying? That's a good start for the pay raise. It could be bad though because it can cause more inflation. And the last thing we need right now is more inflation. Do you hear me? I mean, because it's just ridiculous. I mean, right now, you ask around, most people have more than one job. You know what I'm saying? You got to have more than one job to get the rent, the groceries, etc. So if he goes ahead and he raises it to 18, that might really help. That might help a lot of y'all out. We can pay the rent, we can get the groceries, we don't need no assistance. You know what I'm saying? So what do y'all think? Tell me in the comments, would y'all go ahead and get a job if they starting pay was $18 an hour? Or do y'all still pass? Let me know.
I understand why the knee-jerk reaction when things are too expensive is to want them to be cheaper, but I kind of think it's like one of the best magic tricks that conservatives and Republicans have managed to pull off is by talking about lowering interest rates and lowering prices so that you look over here and ignore the fact that the wage gap has increased exponentially over the last several years, and the top 1% is growing and the middle class is diminishing, and that's why you can't afford things. And I still see people talking about how they want to make six figures, they want to hit $100,000 in their income, but we've been talking about that since the 80s, and $100,000 then versus now, that's worth like $250,000 to $300,000 today. Even just looking at 2010, that would be the equivalent to $150,000 today in income. So that is what I'm talking about when I'm saying that we just aren't making the same kind of money anymore. Even just looking from 1971 to 2023, that we have gone from 61% of people being classified as the middle class versus in 2023, 51%. And we have more people that are making more money in the top 1%, and you see more people also making less money. And in 1989, the bottom 50% held 3.5% of the total US net worth, and today that figure has dropped just to 2.8%. So the bottom half of Americans own less of the wealth in the country than they did in 1989. And then you can see here that the top 1% had owned 22.8% of the nation's wealth, and that has been increasing all the way now to 31% almost. The price of everything has gone up, not just housing. And so just to look at the home prices and then the interest rates is such a one-dimensional way of thinking, because even if prices were to drop on homes and somehow didn't affect the rest of the economy at all, you still would be left with less money, less value to your dollar than you would if we just had a more equal wealth distribution. Obviously, wealth distribution is not the only reason that housing is unaffordable. It's just one variable, but it's one that I think is often neglected and also just misinformed.
And see, here's another thing. So now that these people realizing that they kind of got what they asked for, like you can't call the person that told y'all if all y'all got together and did this thing that y'all was gonna get X amount of dollars or whatever you received. Because this person, like, you asked for a car. They gave you a car. You like, but you ain't tell me that we could go to jail. You didn't ask them. Would you stand a chance of going to jail? They said, I got a plan. You said, a plan? They said, well, first of all, is it something you need? You said a car. The other person said a house. The other person said a job. Another person said, whatever you asked for, this person politely slid it over there to you. Now, the consequences has slid on in with that item, and it's called jail. And that person like, nah, dude, I already paid you. It's just like you got
exit polls hit. Black Americans, particularly Black women, were very rudely reminded that there are no common interests really between white Americans and Black Americans. And white Americans have been experiencing this hardcore reckoning with what whiteness means in America and the cost of said whiteness. And because 72% voted for this tomfoolery, that's a huge statistic, right? And that's your friends, your families, people in the average white American's closest circle are voting for their own livelihood to be taken away. And that is exactly the problem, right? They are upset. Of course, there are people that are upset about what has been happening to immigrants, what is happening to the queer community, what is happening to women. But more so than ever, what has mobilized white people this time around, for the first time ever in American history, with regard to some sort of systemic white supremacist oppression, is they're getting hit in the pocket. Their livelihood is being threatened. Their 401ks, their jobs, their healthcare, their social security. And now that it's a problem, oh, let's go pound the pavement and tell our local representative or whoever what we think about it. And so when I think about interest convergence, right, like what common interests do Black and white Americans have to wherein we have historically worked together on something? We have now realized that for Black Americans who are very much hand to mouth in many regards, very much worried about not our 401k, but like having a job, not losing our cushy healthcare insurance plan, but like having healthcare in general. Not worried about the price of groceries going up, but just worried about how I'm going to make it to the food bank next week, right? We've realized that we are not on the same page at all. And you know what? We're just going to sit this one out. And so what is left, right? Like what is left for the average white American? And in order for any system of oppression, here we're talking about white supremacy, to be dismantled, those within that group, whether that be men, white people, people who are able-bodied, they are the ones that have to dismantle it. They are the ones that have to reckon with each other and say, hey, I'm no longer speaking to you. I'm no longer talking to you, or we're going to hash this out. I'm going to hold you accountable, what have you. This ideology that we have benefited from, that we've both been a part of because we're white, because we're men, because we're able-bodied, like whatever, it's hurting us too. And more so, we're hurting other people. And this is a long time coming. And do I think that there's going to be a drastic change at the end of the day? No, I don't. But it is interesting. It's interesting to see this play out. And I'm interested in the long-term consequences of this reckoning.
Breaking news. Donald Trump said, if you are a stay-at-home mom, he is about to change the game for us. Starting October 2025, this will be in effect. Full effect. All stay-at-home moms will be receiving a $2,000 check every month on the first of the month. Yes, this is a thing. This is all over the internet. It's so crazy that out of all presidents, he the first one to do it for the stay-at-home moms. You know you can't go to work because you don't have child care. You don't have help with your kids. It's just hard for you, and you have to stay home to care for your kids. So now he's making sure you have some type of income coming in so that you can provide for your kids. You can find this on all news stations, CNN, Fox 4, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's on every platform that you can name. You can search it up and thank me later, because you know I'm always coming in with the tea. I won't discard y'all. Y'all better thank Trump for this one, because I know you broke motherfuckers gonna like this one.
Wait, so your congressman can't pay his $20,000 a month rent and now he's being evicted? Okay, y'all, gather around. We got a Florida story. So, Florida Rep Corey Mills is deep in a landlord feud with a DC landlord. Because allegedly old Corey skipped out on 4 months rent on a luxury penthouse apartment. Over $80,000 he owes the landlord. Oh, you wanna know what the rent is? Oh, it's over $20,000 a month. Oh, you heard that right. A Florida congressman was paying 20 grand a month to live in a penthouse apartment in DC. Meanwhile, most regular folks in DC can't even afford a studio apartment. Certainly not at that price. Now, the congressman says it's technical glitches. That's the reason why the payments haven't been made. The problem is the landlord has a record of 18 late payments prior to all of this. Now keep in mind, this is a luxury building. Private elevators, Capitol views, it even has a pet spa. But somehow he can't hit pay when it's time to pay the bill every month. Oh, just so y'all know, September 8th, that's his eviction hearing in DC. So yeah, what's up, Florida, with y'all Congress people coming to DC and then not paying their bills? And I want to know, how can y'all relate to this congressman when he can afford to pay, or maybe not afford to pay, $20,000 a month for an apartment?
Thank you for watching with me, guys, the video regarding livable wages. I do appreciate your comments, like, shares, subscriptions. It's really important for my channel to grow, and I do appreciate this, guys. I'm really appreciate this. So Please be safe. I'm done for today, and bye for now.